My name is Rebecca, and at 42 years old, I find myself living in a world where numbers dance and stocks soar, a realm forged from the financial wisdom my father gifted me. I've always been more than just a day trader. I am an investor, a seeker of hidden gems in the chaotic markets. My home, an elegantly appointed sanctuary, mirrors the life I've meticulously crafted. It's not just a house, it's a statement of my success, adorned with art and filled with the tranquil hum of a life well lived. I met Tyler when I was already established, a force to be reckoned with in the financial sectors. He was younger, vibrant, and seemingly enchanted by my world. His promise to stand by me, in a life free from the pitter-patter of little feet my doctors advised against, felt like the final piece in my puzzle. "I'm all in," he'd said with a smile that could outshine the gloomiest market crash. How could I not fall for that? We settled into our routines, or so I thought. I delved deeper into my trades, my focus unwavering, as Tyler took on the role of the stay-at-home spouse. He began with such enthusiasm, whipping up culinary delights and managing our home with a flair that impressed me. It was comforting, at first, to come home to the aromas of a well-cooked meal and the warmth of his company. But as the months rolled on, the once comforting routine began to fray. Tyler's culinary sessions became infrequent, replaced by the incessant clicking of his computer mouse deep into the night. His days, and gradually our nights, revolved around virtual worlds, leaving our real one cluttered and neglected. I would find myself stepping over unwashed laundry or dishes piled high, remnants of his newfound passion for gaming. The harmony we had was slipping through my fingers like fine sand. "Schedules change, Rebecca. I'm just finding my groove," Tyler would say whenever I brought up my concerns. His reassurances, once my anchor, now felt hollow. I'd lie awake, the city's lights creeping through the blinds, wondering if the man I married was slipping away into a digital abyss, leaving me alone in our tangible world. Yet I was prepared, or so I told myself. Prepared to face whatever challenges came our way, armed with the resilience and acumen that had never failed me in the trading floors. Little did I know, the real challenge was just beginning, and it wasn't the market's volatility I needed to brace for, it was the man I shared my home with. As the weeks turned into months, the vibrant man I had married, the one who had promised to share my burdens and joys alike, slowly morphed into a shadow of his former self. Tyler's initial enthusiasm for managing our home had dwindled to a mere afterthought. The culinary experiments that once filled our home with delightful aromas were replaced by the monotonous ping of microwave dinners. I missed the laughter and the shared satisfaction of a well-prepared meal, but more so, I missed him, the man he used to be. I'd find him most days, his eyes glued to the screen, lost in a frenzy of virtual battles and imaginary conquests. Our conversations, once filled with plans for the future and shared dreams, had dwindled to brief exchanges about trivialities. "How is the market today?" he might ask, not waiting for an answer before turning back to his game. The house, once a symbol of our union, felt increasingly like a divided territory. One particularly stark evening, I came home to find not only the usual disarray, but also an unexpected addition to our living situation. Tyler's sister, Clara, and her husband, Mike, stood in the middle of our living room, suitcases in tow. "Surprise!" Tyler exclaimed with a grin, as if he had planned the perfect pleasant surprise. "Clara and Mike are going through a rough patch. They need a place to stay for a while. Just a few weeks, tops." Their arrival was sudden, their reasons vague, but their presence quickly became as permanent as the furniture. They moved with an ease that suggested they were in no hurry to leave. Days turned into weeks, and I watched, increasingly uneasy, as they spread into our space with an air of entitlement that left little room for objection. The dynamics in our home shifted subtly at first, then all at once. Clara was loud, her laughter piercing late into the night as she and Tyler reminisced about old times. Mike, with a penchant for criticism, seemed to find fault in how I arranged even the simplest things. "You really should let Tyler have more say in the decor," he'd comment, gesturing at the artworks I had chosen with such care. Their intrusion wasn't just physical, it felt deeply personal, as if they were rewriting the rules of my own sanctuary. My evenings, once a time for unwinding, became periods of silent endurance as I retreated to the quietest corners of my home, the sounds of their presence a constant echo through the walls. I confided in a friend over coffee one morning, the weight of my situation spilling over. "It feels like I'm the guest in my own home, Sarah. I don't understand what's happening." Her advice was cautious but clear. "Rebecca, protect yourself. Something doesn't feel right." And she was right. As the pieces began to fall into place, the picture they formed was unsettling. Tyler and his family, with their whispered conversations and sudden changes in behavior, were orchestrating something. Something that didn't bode well for me. But I wasn't about to let my life, the one I had built with such determination, be dismantled so easily. I had faced down market crashes and economic downturns. I could handle a few domestic usurpers. Or so I hoped. The sense of unease that settled over our home thickened with each passing day. Tyler, Clara, and Mike had seamlessly woven themselves into the very fabric of our household, turning what was once my sanctuary into a stage for their subtle takeover. Their actions, always under the guise of familial support or casual living arrangements, became increasingly bold, crossing boundaries I never imagined would be challenged in my own home. One evening, as I returned from a particularly taxing day of trading, I found my study, the one place that remained solely mine, a haven of solitude and focus, transformed. Files were moved, personal items rearranged, and in the center of it all, Tyler sat, an array of gaming equipment sprawled across my desk. "Tyler, what is all this?" My voice barely concealed the mix of shock and anger as I surveyed the encroachment. He looked up, his expression one of feigned confusion. "Oh, I thought it'd be nice to have my setup here. Better lighting, you know." His words were casual, as if he hadn't just claimed my last vestige of personal space. I drew a deep breath, my mind racing for the right words. "This is my workspace, Tyler. We agreed on this. You have the entire living room." "Yeah, but it feels cramped there, and besides, Clara and Mike are always around." "I figured you wouldn't mind." His dismissiveness stung, a sharp contrast to the man who once tread carefully around my routines and respect for space. That night, as I lay in bed, the sounds of their laughter and chatter drifting up from below, the pieces began clicking into place. This wasn't just casual infringement on my personal space, this was a coordinated effort. Tyler, with Clara and Mike's encouragement, was slowly asserting dominance over every corner of our home. Determined to understand the full extent of their intentions, I started paying closer attention to their interactions, snippets of conversation caught as I passed by rooms, the quick changes in topic when I entered. The picture that emerged was unsettling. There were talks of financial strains, mentions of needing a permanent solution, and worst of all, subtle jabs at my financial independence being too intimidating. As the weeks progressed, their boldness grew. Bills for extravagant purchases made without my consent started arriving, items billed to my credit, but never discussed. Each discovery felt like a betrayal, each act a deliberate stab at the life I had built. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being corralled, pushed to a breaking point to make room for their expanding control. It was clear that Tyler, Clara, and Mike viewed my assets as their opportunity. They were not just house guests, they were invaders, and my home was the territory they intended to conquer. But if my years in trading had taught me anything, it was that forewarned is forearmed. I began to take measures, subtle yet firm. Security cameras, previously meant for external security, now discreetly monitored internal movements as well. Every document, every piece of sensitive information, found a new home in a secure, undisclosed location. I was building my case, gathering the evidence I needed to protect myself from whatever Tyler and his co-conspirators planned. They might think they were playing a clever game, but I was ready to checkmate. As autumn leaves began to carpet our yard, the chilling winds seemed to echo the growing coldness inside our home. Tyler, Clara, and Mike had woven a tight web of deceit, and I found myself increasingly cornered, both emotionally and physically. But my resolve only hardened. I was determined not to fall victim to their schemes without a fight. One dreary Thursday evening, I came home earlier than usual, my mind heavy with the day's trading losses and the ongoing turmoil at home. The house was unusually quiet, the kind of silence that feels like the calm before a storm. As I hung my coat, the faint sound of hushed voices from the living room caught my attention. I paused at the doorway unnoticed and listened. Tyler's voice, usually so nonchalant, carried a sharp edge of urgency. "We need to finalize things soon. Rebecca's not going to just roll over, you know. We have to be smart about this." Clara responded, her tone equally conspiratorial. "Don't worry. The emotional distress angle is perfect. We'll paint you as the victim. She won't see it coming. She thinks she's untouchable with all her money and cameras." Mike's low chuckle sent a shiver down my spine. "Yeah, and once we're done, this place will be yours, and she'll be out for good. Just keep playing the part, Ty." My heart raced as their words sank in. This was more than just taking over my space. They were planning to usurp my entire life and legacy. Fury mixed with a sharp sting of betrayal, and for a moment I stood frozen. Then, pulling myself together, I stepped back, my mind racing with the need for a strategic response. Over the next few days, I became a shadow in my own home, watching, waiting, and collecting evidence. Every conversation, every false accusation they planned against me was captured and stored securely. My network of cameras and microphones, once passive guardians, now served as my arsenal in gathering the proof I would need to expose their plot. As their plans became clearer, so did my path forward. They intended to use Tyler's claim of emotional distress to force a legal battle over the house, a house that was mine long before Tyler ever stepped into the picture. They underestimated my tenacity and my preparedness. The confrontation I knew was inevitable came one chilly evening. Tyler staged a dramatic breakdown during dinner, his performance worthy of an audience, accusing me of being controlling and emotionally abusive. Clara and Mike played their parts perfectly, voicing concern and corroborating his story. But I was ready. Calmly, I turned to Tyler, my voice steady. "Is that so, Tyler? Is that what you're going to try and sell in court? Because I think the judge would be very interested to see the real story." At that, I gestured to the discreetly placed cameras around the room. Tyler's face went pale, his facade cracking. Clara and Mike exchanged panicked glances. I continued, "Every lie, every manipulation, it's all been recorded. I have documented every single deceitful act you three have conspired in." The room fell silent, the weight of my revelation hanging heavy in the air. Tyler tried to stammer an excuse, but the truth was undeniable. I had outplayed them at their own game, using their greed and underestimation against them. The legal proceedings that followed were swift. Armed with my recordings, my lawyer dismantled their claims with precision. The judge saw through their plot, dismissing their case and granting me a restraining order against Tyler and his accomplices. In the end, they left as they had come, under a cloud of shame, their plans in ruins. The house, once besieged by their presence, was mine once again. I stood in the quiet aftermath, not just as a survivor, but as a victor in a battle I had never wished to fight. My home was my sanctuary once more, and I was free to rebuild my life my way. The day Tyler, Clara, and Mike departed from my home was like the first breath of spring after a long, harsh winter. As their car disappeared down the driveway, a profound sense of relief washed over me. My home, once a battlefield, now stood quiet and serene, the walls echoing with the promise of peace and new beginnings. In the weeks that followed, I took to restoring my home to its former glory. Each room was cleansed of their presence, each space rain-fused with my essence. I replaced the furniture they had used, repainted walls, and reintroduced my favorite scents, a ritual of reclaiming that felt both therapeutic and empowering. But the battle I had fought left its marks not just on my home, but on my soul. The betrayal had wounded me deeply, challenging my trust in others and shaking my belief in unconditional love. I knew the road to recovery would be a journey, not just a step, and I was ready to embark on it with all the resilience I had mustered during those tumultuous months. Part of that journey was reevaluating my life and goals. My career as a trader had always been my priority, but the ordeal had taught me the value of balance and the importance of personal happiness. I decided to cut back on my trading hours, dedicating more time to pursuits that had long been on hold, painting, writing, and exploring the outdoors. These activities brought me joy and a sense of peace that had been missing. I also opened myself up to new relationships. With caution and newfound wisdom, I began to forge connections with like-minded individuals who shared my interests and values. Book clubs, local art groups, and volunteering at the community center allowed me to meet people from diverse backgrounds, each with stories and lessons that enriched my life further. As I rebuilt my social circle, I was pleasantly surprised to find that not all ties had been tainted by Tyler's deceit. Old friends reached out, their support unwavering despite the distance that had grown between us during my marriage. Their loyalty and kindness reminded me that, despite the few who may betray us, many more stand by us. One late autumn evening, as I sat on my newly redecorated patio, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, I reflected on the tumultuous year. The challenges had been many, but they had brought with them invaluable lessons. I had learned the importance of self-reliance and the strength of my own spirit. I had also learned that forgiveness was not just a gift to others, but a gift to oneself, a release from the chains of past grievances. With a renewed sense of self and a clear vision for my future, I felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. My home was once again a sanctuary, a place of warmth and creativity, reflecting the journey I had undertaken. As the stars began to the evening sky, I felt a profound connection to the world around me, a deep appreciation for the resilience of the human spirit. My story, marked by trials and triumphs, was far from over. It was just beginning anew, on my terms, in a world I was ready to embrace with an open heart and an enduring hope. The crisp air of early winter brought a refreshing clarity to my life, much like the frost that delicately outlined the windows of my home each morning. With each day, the shadows of the past receded further into memory, replaced by the vibrant textures of a life I was actively reshaping. My home, once a contested battleground, now thrummed with the energy of renewal and creativity. I invested more time in the community, finding that each interaction wove stronger threads in the fabric of my local connections. Volunteering at the community center not only enriched my days, but also grounded me in the reality of other people's struggles and triumphs, offering a perspective that was both humbling and inspiring. As winter deepened, I made the decision to renovate my home office into a studio, a sanctuary within a sanctuary. The space, once dominated by screens and trading charts, was transformed into a haven for my art and writing. Canvases filled with vibrant colors and shelves stocked with books on art theory and practice replaced the sterile tools of my previous trade. This transformation was symbolic, marking a shift from a life focused solely on financial gain to one enriched by creativity and personal expression. During this time of change, I also began attending workshops and retreats, deepening my knowledge and skills in painting and writing. It was at one such retreat in the serene mountains that I met Simon, a fellow artist whose passion for nature photography and environmental conservation matched my newfound appreciation for the world outside the stock market's fluctuations. Simon was different from anyone I had met. His calm demeanor and thoughtful conversations contrasted sharply with the chaotic world I had left behind. Our shared interests quickly led to deeper discussions about life, art, and our aspirations. In him, I found not just a companion, but a mirror reflecting my own desires for a life filled with meaning and connection. As our relationship developed, so did my integration into the local art community. Simon introduced me to other artists, and together, we organized community art shows and collaborative projects. These events were not just displays of creativity, but also fundraisers for local causes, reinforcing my belief in the power of art to bring about positive change. By the time spring heralded the renewal of the natural world, my life too felt profoundly renewed. The art studio was bustling with activity, plans for future exhibitions, and collaborative projects with Simon and other artists. My days were filled with a sense of purpose and joy that had been missing in the years dominated by finance and deceit. Reflecting on the journey from isolation to community, from betrayal to trust, I felt a deep gratitude for the twists and turns of my life. Each step, even the most painful, had been necessary, guiding me to this place of fulfillment and happiness. As I painted in my studio, the light filtering through the windows and casting vibrant hues on the canvas, I realized that this was not just a new chapter in my life, but a whole new volume. The past, with all its lessons, was the foundation upon which I was building a future, one filled with creativity, love, and community. The journey ahead was as bright as the colors on my palette, and I was ready to paint it in broad, bold strokes. Spring's blossoms brought more than just natural beauty. They ushered in a season of healing and growth. As the world around me burst into life, so too did my spirit, nurtured by the warmth of community and the joy of new beginnings. My relationship with Simon flourished amidst our shared passions, and together, we explored not just the artistic landscapes, but also the deeper contours of our past experiences and future aspirations. In this season of renewal, I found myself reflecting often on the journey that had led me here. The struggles I had faced seemed distant now, like shadows at dawn, dispelled by the light of understanding and forgiveness. I had learned that healing was not a destination, but a path that wound through every experience, good and bad. One sunny afternoon, as I stood in my studio surrounded by canvases and sketches, I realized how much my art had evolved. What began as a means of distraction from the turmoil had become a profound method of expression. My paintings, once cautious and controlled, now burst with bold, unapologetic strokes, mirroring my newfound confidence and zest for life. Simon and I decided to host an art exhibition entitled Renaissance, symbolizing not only my personal rebirth, but also our collective emergence from the challenges of the past. The exhibition would showcase our works, along with contributions from other local artists, in a celebration of resilience and creativity. As we prepared for the exhibition, the community's anticipation grew palpable. Local newspapers and blogs featured stories about our journey and the upcoming event, highlighting the transformative power of art and community support. The buzz created a sense of collective ownership and pride, further deepening my connection to the town that had become my sanctuary. The opening night of Renaissance was a tapestry of vibrant conversations, laughter, and the clicking of glasses. The gallery was a kaleidoscope of colors and emotions, each piece telling its own story of overcoming and becoming. As I walked through the crowd, listening to the reactions and interpretations, I felt a profound sense of accomplishment and peace. Among the attendees was an elderly woman who paused for a long time in front of one of my most personal pieces, a large canvas depicting a lone tree standing resilient against a stormy sky. She turned to me, her eyes moist with unspoken understanding, and said, "Your work speaks of pain, but also of tremendous hope. It's beautiful." Her words struck a chord deep within me, affirming the healing power of sharing our stories. That night, as Simon and I closed the gallery doors, we walked hand in hand, our steps light under the starlit sky, knowing that we had started something beautiful, not just for ourselves, but for the entire community. In the weeks that followed, Renaissance became more than an exhibition. It became a movement. Schools and community centers reached out, seeking to collaborate on art programs designed to teach resilience and creativity as tools for life's challenges. Simon and I found ourselves at the heart of a burgeoning project, aimed at using art to heal and inspire. As I look back now, from the vibrant vantage point of my studio, with the scent of fresh paint and new beginnings in the air, I am overwhelmed with gratitude. Life, with all its unexpected turns, has brought me here to a place where I can give back, where I can use my past not just as a lesson for myself, but as a beacon for others. In this chapter of my life, I am not just an artist or a survivor. I am a facilitator of healing, a curator of hope. And as each day unfolds, I paint not just on canvas, but on the very soul of the community, coloring the world with the hues of resilience and the light of new beginnings. As the Renaissance exhibition wound down, the echoes of its impact continued to resonate throughout the community and beyond. The success was not merely in the vibrant canvases and sculptures that had adorned the gallery walls, but in the lives touched and changed by the power of expression and shared vulnerability. Simon and I, having sparked a flame with our collaborative project, were now stewards of a fire that seemed destined to illuminate much more than we had anticipated. With the community's enthusiasm as our catalyst, we launched a series of workshops titled Artistic Journeys, designed to explore personal growth through creativity. These workshops attracted people from all walks of life, teenagers grappling with the angst of identity, adults navigating midlife transitions, and seniors seeking to redefine their golden years. Each session was a mosaic of stories, with art as the unifying language that allowed for both individual and collective expression. One particular workshop series, Canvas of Memories, became a poignant space for those dealing with loss and grief. Participants used paint, clay, and fabric to create visual representations of their memories and emotions. It was here that I met Esther, a widow who had lost her husband of 50 years to a sudden illness. Through her project, a tapestry of vibrant threads interwoven with subtle grays and blues, she captured the essence of her journey, her love, her loss, and her tentative steps toward healing. Esther's story, like many others, underscored the profound impact of our initiative. This workshop, she told me one afternoon, her eyes reflecting a mix of sorrow and solace, has given me a voice when words were too hard to find. Her gratitude, heartfelt and sincere, was a testament to the transformative power of our work. Inspired by these stories, Simon and I envisioned a more permanent space where art and healing could intersect, a community arts center that would serve as a hub for creativity, therapy, and education. With the support of local businesses and a grant from the Arts Council, we began the work of turning this vision into a reality. The planning and creation of the center, which we decided to name Lighthouse Arts, was a journey marked by community spirit and collaboration. Local artists contributed designs, school children assisted in painting murals, and families donated materials and time. Each step in the process was a stitch in the fabric of our collective effort, creating not just a building, but a beacon of hope and creativity. The grand opening of Lighthouse Arts was a celebration of this collective spirit. The center featured studios for painting, sculpture, and digital arts, therapy rooms for art therapy sessions, and a gallery space for community exhibitions. As I stood at the podium during the opening ceremony, looking out at the faces of those who had supported this journey, friends, family, community leaders, I felt a surge of pride and accomplishment. My journey began with a quest for personal healing. I shared with the gathering, my voice steady with emotion. But it has brought me here, to a place where healing is a community endeavor. Lighthouse Arts is not just my legacy or Simon's. It is our collective legacy, a space where we can all learn, heal, and grow together. As the applause rang out, I felt a profound connection to everyone in the room and to those who would come through the doors in the years to follow. Lighthouse Arts was more than a center. It was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and to the incredible power of community and creativity to transform lives. Looking ahead, I was filled with anticipation for the stories that would unfold within these walls, the art that would be created, and the healing that would take place. The legacy of light we had ignited here would burn brightly, casting its glow far into the future, touching lives and mending hearts, one creative journey at a time. In the months following the opening of Lighthouse Arts, the center blossomed into a vibrant hub of activity and inspiration. Every corner of the building buzzed with the energy of creation, from the soft murmur of brushes sweeping across canvases in the painting studio to the rhythmic clinking of sculpting tools in the ceramics room. The community had embraced the center not just as a place to create art, but as a sanctuary for expression and healing. As the director of the center, I took immense pride in overseeing a schedule filled with a diverse array of classes and workshops. Each program was designed to cater to different age groups and skill levels, ensuring that everyone, from young children to elderly residents, found a place to express themselves. Lighthouse Arts is more than just an art center, I would explain to newcomers. It's a place where you can leave your worries at the door and let your creativity do the talking. One of the most rewarding aspects of my role was witnessing the transformative power of art firsthand. There was Michael, a veteran who struggled with PTSD, who found solace in pottery, shaping clay into forms that expressed his journey towards healing. Then there was Lily, a teenage girl battling depression, who discovered her voice through graphic novels, creating characters that navigated worlds of adventure and self-discovery. As Lighthouse Arts grew, so did its impact. We partnered with local schools to integrate art therapy into their counseling programs, providing students with an alternative way to cope with academic and social pressures. We also collaborated with healthcare facilities, offering art therapy sessions to patients dealing with chronic illnesses and mental health challenges. Amidst the daily operations, Simon and I continued to nurture our personal creative projects. Simon's photography, focused on environmental conservation, found a new audience among the center's visitors, who were captivated by his ability to capture the beauty and fragility of nature. Meanwhile, I embarked on a series of paintings that explored the theme of light and shadow, a metaphor for the personal journey I had undertaken. One late autumn evening, during a special exhibition at Lighthouse Arts featuring community artists, I unveiled my latest series. Each painting was a burst of color and emotion, depicting scenes from my own life, moments of despair transformed into expressions of hope. As visitors moved through the exhibit, their reactions were visceral and moving. "Your work speaks to the soul," one guest remarked, a sentiment that echoed the center's mission. The success of Lighthouse Arts also attracted attention from beyond our local community. Art educators, therapists, and organizers from other cities reached out, eager to learn about our model and replicate it in their own communities. It was during one such meeting, with a delegation from a neighboring city, that I fully realized the ripple effect of our work. "We've heard so much about Lighthouse Arts," the head of the delegation shared. "We want to bring this magic to our city, to light up lives just as you have here." Inspired by this interest, Simon and I began to work on a blueprint for expanding our concept. The idea was to create a network of Lighthouse Art Centers, each adapted to the needs and cultures of their respective communities, but all united under the mission of healing through art. As I reflected on this growth, I felt a profound sense of gratitude. What had begun as a personal quest for healing had evolved into a movement that reached far beyond my own experiences. Lighthouse Arts was not just a legacy of my journey, but a beacon for countless others, spreading light and hope through the transformative power of art. Looking out over the busy studios, filled with the sounds of laughter and the sense of paint and clay, I knew that each echo of creation that resonated through these walls was a testament to the enduring power of community, creativity, and the human spirit. And as we planned for the future, I was filled with excitement for the new chapters yet to be written in the story of Lighthouse Arts.